Okay, so first I just went to new map and created some places to save, but pretty straightforward. So I'm going to zoom into the place that I am looking for. I'm going to go up here and do base map and do imagery with labels. All right, so I'm going to zoom into our Silver Lake site. Okay, so this property right here is the schools. So then I'm going to come up here and go add data. I'm going to add XY event data. It's going to give me a geoprocessing table over here. So I'm going to go find my data. I'm going to find the CSV file. I would not use Excel. I would convert it, whatever you do in Excel, to a CSV. And hit OK. So that's going to create a layer. And I got longitude in the X, latitude in the Y. And I'll show you that layer, how I set that thing up here in a second. Okay. All right. So then what it did is it created all these little dots here that's where we did our sampling. So I'm going to click on sorry, I'm reading directions as I do this. So symbology. So I'm going to click right there, double click it, and it's going to give me a bunch of options, I hope. And I'm just going to use a circle. All right. So there's the circle from our cruising data. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to go to, in the analysis menu, I'm going to go to Geostatistical Wizard, up top, menu bar, Geostatistical Wizard, inverse distance weighting. All right. Nothing else should be checked here. And the data field, I can select whatever I'd like. So I got Doug fir volume. All right. Growth projection factor, basal area. So these are Western red cedar. So let's do our cedar volume. All right. And then hit next. All right. So it gives me a heat map based on where we took our samples and our plots, and hit finish. And when I hit finish, it's going to give me where the data set's at. And it gives me basically a square, and I can turn this on or off. Okay, so right here, so I'm going to, that inverse distance weighting, I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to name it Western Red Cedar Volume. Okay, and then I'm going to go to Geostatistical Wizard again, and I can select down, and this one I might do Doug fir. Not sure what the Doug fir volume X and Y are, but let's just do Grand Fir volume and hit next. All right, it gives me a preview. Okay, so this, I'm going to right click, no, double click. Come on. So it's Grand Fir volume. All right, a couple other things of data that we did were future stand volume based on growth rings. So I can go here and let's say growth projection factor, or I did basal area or diameter breast height, future stand volume. So let's do growth projection factor. Where are the fastest growing trees at? Something that's useful. Hit next. And then this one is Doug Fir future stand volume. All right, actually, excuse me, this is growth projection factor, GPF. So the fastest growing trees are on the edge, not a shock. And then down here, we're a little bit faster growing. So it's all based on a heat map. Okay, so blue means they're not so big. Orange means that they're bigger, and red is obviously the good, which means their growth projection is about 10% every 5 years. All right, this would be like, oh, the blue would be less than 2% every 5 years. Okay, all right, and that's really about it. And with that, you can also obviously where all your plots are at, and you can put the plots on your map just based on an X, Y. An X layer is your longitude, and your Y layer is your Y column is going to be your latitude. All right, so I'm going to show you real quick what our data looked like. Okay, and I think that this is the same one. So this is what our data looked like. We collected as students. So kids did their own plots, then I did the rest of these. All right. And so what do these numbers mean? Well, it's all based on what they did as far as their whole cruising steps. And if you were at the conference or at the pre-conference, I kind of hopefully showed you how we did some of this data collection. So it's average diameter breast height, um, basal area per acre, average basal area per tree, which is not something I actually that's it, dug for average basal area per trees here. We had this is quite the stand. I mean, it was 140-foot trees, 160-foot trees, and you can see that the average diameter in most of it was about 20, probably 24, 25 inches. And so I don't know, it's kind of something I started learning about 10, 15 years ago. And when I was at Nationals, I ran into the Charlie Fitzpatrick, who's kind of the guru on the education stuff for ArcGIS. And what it taken me years to try to figure out how to do, on and off on, Christmas break or whatever, he kind of solved for me in about 10 minutes of talking to him. So I don't know, pretty cool, I think. You can do it in a lot of crops, um, soil types, and there's a ton of soils info that can be done as well. So I might try to show you that here. So I can go to Statistical Wizard, and actually no, I'm gonna close that out. Back to my map. I'm gonna add data, and I can actually click and drag my soils data if I know where it's at. Tabular, as I recall. No, sorry, it's been a few years since I've done this. So, shapefile. No, that's not it. Well, add data. And I can go to desktop, conference stuff, GIS, folder, spatial data. And that should work better. All right, and I'm going to choose WA 673 shapefile. All right, hit OK. All right, so, and I click that to where it's somewhat transparent, maybe some outlines of the soil info. And if I want to find out, I can select that area right here. It should give me the soil info. Well, okay, so it gives me the some of my tabular data is not really uploaded. So there is a way to find out soil info. It's also available Web Soil GIS or Web Soil Survey if you do a Google search. And then there's everything from earthquake data available online, DNR, endangered species, sightings of different animals, stream flow data, stream quality data, etc. It's just it's pretty limitless. A lot of counties have a lot of resources too. All right, so I hope that was somewhat informative. Maybe not, hopefully not too confusing.